Hey guys, this video is going to be a quick refresher on what we have done in lessons 5.1 and 5.2 so far on equations for lines. So I suggest you go in your notebook or take out a sheet of paper and title it Module 5 Notes. And I'm just going to go over some important things that if I was making notes, this is what I would be putting on my note sheet or on part of my notes. So please make sure you have that out and ready to go. If you're using your notebook, put a title, Module 5 Notes, in your title pages. All right, so on your note page, let's go ahead and start with linear equations. So that is what we have been working on in lesson 5.1 and 5.2. So I'm just going to put a little title off to the side, and then we're going to write some notes on the two things that we have learned so far. So we've worked with two different forms of equations for lines. The first one is called slope-intercept form. So I'm going to write slope-intercept form. And then the other one is called point-slope form. Okay, so make sure you get both of those down. Okay, so for slope-intercept form, we know it is y equals mx plus b. And we know there's a couple key things. The m stands for the slope, and the b stands for the y-intercept. So all lines should have a slope and a y-intercept. The y-intercept could be 0, but it still has a y-intercept, and it has a slope as well. Okay. To find the slope of a line, just as a quick refresher, to find the slope, remember it's change in y over change in x, or y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, that is how you find the slope. Okay, then the other form of a linear equation that we learned was point-slope form. This is useful when you have a point and the slope, which is pretty convenient. So point-slope form looks like this. We have y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Okay, and your note page doesn't have to look exactly like mine, but we're going to just put a couple notes. The m is still the slope. Okay. The y1 is a y-coordinate that you know, and the x1 is an x-coordinate that you know. Okay, make sure again that you have that down. All right, I'm going to do a quick example of both of these. So for slope-intercept form, I might tell you that a line has a slope of 2/3 and goes through the point 6, 10. Okay, and I'm going to ask you to write an equation in slope-intercept form. Okay, so quick refresher on how we do this. You can do y equals mx plus b and fill in what you know. So I know my slope is 2/3. I'll fill that in for the m. I know my x-coordinate is 6. I'll fill that in there. And my y-coordinate is 10. I'll fill that in there. And I do not know my y-intercept at this point, so I'll put plus b. That is what I'm trying to find. Now it's just an equation that you guys know how to solve. So if I do 2/3 times 6, I get 4 plus b equals 10. If I subtract 4, I end up with b equals 6. So my y-intercept is 6. So my final equation, I'm running out of space, I'll just squeeze it in over here, is y equals 2/3 times x plus 6. Okay, let's do an example of point-slope form. Okay, so if I come over here and I say, okay, I have a slope of 2/3 and a y-intercept, or a point on the line is 6, 10, you can do the exact same thing. It just looks a little bit different. So what you can do is you can do y minus one of the y-coordinates, which is 10. So y minus 10 equals the slope, 2/3, times x minus the x-coordinate, which is 6. This is point-slope form. Now, if you multiplied this out, it would equal the exact same thing as what we got over here. So these are equivalent. So the next thing that we are going to talk about is parallel and perpendicular lines. So I'm just going to do parallel and perpendicular. Okay, and then again, if you are like sorting your paper out, you can put like a little line underneath what we did and then put parallel and perpendicular lines. All right, so first thing, parallel lines. We learned the symbol for parallel, I showed you guys yesterday, is that. It's like two lines that are kind of slanted, showing that they'll never meet, never touch. And the symbol for perpendicular is like an upside down T. Okay, so again, that just means parallel lines. The other symbol means perpendicular. So parallel lines. You guys found out that parallel lines have the same slope and they have different y-intercepts. Okay, an example of that would be I could say, hey, if one line is y equals 2x plus 4, a parallel line to that would have to have the same slope, so it'd still have to be 2, and then a different y-intercept. Those two lines are parallel. Perpendicular lines, on the other hand, we found out that they have opposite reciprocal slopes. Okay, well, I'll talk about that in a second. So opposite reciprocal slopes. And the y-intercepts, they could be the same, they could be different. Y-intercept, same or different. It just depends where they cross. Okay, an example of some lines that would be perpendicular could be this. Y equals, if I say 2/3 x plus 4, a perpendicular line to that would need to have the slope, the reciprocal. So the reciprocal of 2/3 is 3/2, and the opposite sign. It was positive, now it's negative. Okay, and then x plus, and I could pick whatever number I wanted, 8. So those two lines would be perpendicular. Then for this, I'm just going to do one example of a problem that goes with this. So let's say that I have a line, and the equation is y equals 5x minus 10. Okay. I want to find another line that is perpendicular, I'll just use that symbol, to that line, and goes through negative 10 comma 8. Okay, so that's going to be a type of problem that you're going to see. So first thing I do is I'm going to start with writing y equals mx plus b, and I'm going to fill in what I know. So if the slope here is 5, then a perpendicular line would have to have the opposite reciprocal. Well, the reciprocal of 5 is 1/5, and it also needs to be negative. Okay, oops, the negative sign didn't show up very well. Okay, and then I have an x and a y coordinate. So my y, I'm going to fill in 8 equals, and then my x, I'm going to put negative 10, and then plus b. Now all I have to do is solve that. Okay, so if I do negative 1/5 times negative 10, that's going to give me a positive 2. Plus b equals 8, and then I'll subtract 2. So I get my y-intercept is 6. Okay, now I just need to go back over and write what is the equation of that line. So the perpendicular line would be negative 1/5 times x plus the y-intercept is 6. So that line is perpendicular to this line. Those two lines would be perpendicular. So if they cross, they would make a right angle. All right, so the rest of the class here is what you are working on. Number 1, there is a worksheet that you should have grabbed. It's called the 5-2 Day 2 sheet. Okay, you are able to enter this into ClassKick to see if your answers are correct, but you do need to complete both sides of the worksheet, the front and the back. Okay, number 2, if you finish that, Mrs. Burns has a 5-1, 5-2 worksheet review. It's just 4 questions. I want you to try that. Okay. That's only if you get done. Number 3, if you are done with that, I want you to make sure you have your ClassKicks from last week completed. Okay. So from, I think it was let me check, the 4th and the 5th. Okay. So just go ahead and check. Do you have December 4th and 5th ClassKicks completed all the way, and have you shown your work? If you finish that, then you have a little bit of free time, quiet free time, where you can read a book, work on Alex, IXL. I prefer Alex, obviously. So Alex, or you can read or do other homework.